anytime, any place. No matter what your security plugins are, your website can get hacked. And this can do anything from slightly damage your website, to lose chunks of it, to have malicious code in there, or it could wipe out your website entirely. So what do we do if our initial security is breached? Well, this is my website, and of course I have a security plugin. So that's the first thing you want to do, is make sure you have that. But today we're talking about one step further. What if that security plugin fails or is bypassed? What do you do then once the worst has happened? What that means is backups. Making sure you have high quality, regular backups of your website. And this is incredibly easy to do. But I am going to show you 3 crucial ways that you can create and use backups to rescue your website should the hackers have got to you, or in some cases, if you've actually messed up your own website. There's a simple option. There's an option that's actually even simpler, but I didn't call it the simple option, and a complete and utter disaster option. Should everything have gone wrong, there is an option in this video on how you can fix it, how you can retrieve your website. So I'm calling this the 3 best ways to make sure the hackers don't win. Okay, our first way to keep our website safe is the easiest, thankfully. So let's go to our WordPress admin dashboard. I'm going to head across to plugins, and we're going to go to add plugin. Now there's 2 different ways that you can do this. You can go up to search plugins here. We can search for Duplicator, and we can install Duplicator from here. Just there, install. I've already got it, so it's just asking me to activate. So you click on install now, like this, and then click on activate. Now, this will absolutely do the job for step number 1. Completely fine, no problems at all. However, for steps 2 and 3, we're going to need Duplicator Pro, which is slightly different. So if you have Duplicator Pro, or you want to do all 3 of these steps, then what you want to do is go to upload plugin just here, and you want to drop your Duplicator Pro file, which I have just here, into there. Once that's in there, just click on install now. If you do want to grab Duplicator Pro, I will leave some links down in the top pinned comment and description where you're going to be able to grab it. Highly recommend, really powerful, and you'll see exactly why when we get to steps 2 and 3 and how much more effective they can be in this kind of scenario. So once you've got your Duplicator or Duplicator Pro installed and activated, you can end up just here on the backups page. If you don't end up there, just look on the left-hand side on your sidebar, and you've got the backups option just there. So now we're in backups. The logical thing to do is, of course, to create a backup. Click here on add new. This is the most logical thing to have if you're worried about potentially becoming victim of hackers or anybody like that, because you've got a backup of your website should anything happen. Malicious code or anything like that is added to your website. You can simply revert to a time when your website was completely fine. That rhymes, and it was not intended. Anyway, so once we're on to new backup, you get a few options just here, such as your storage location, your backup file, like what is it you want to back up. We're going to stick with a full site backup here, and also the backup name format, which you can adjust if you want to. I'm going to leave everything as it is because I just want a full site backup. So let's go ahead and click on next. This is going to scan my site, which took 0.255 of a second, just to make sure that everything is good and the backup can be completed. Everything is good, so we're just going to move along and click on create backup. Here we go. So Duplicator is now creating a backup. This will take maybe a minute, maybe 2, depending on the size of your website, and you can see the backup name and everything just coming up there. So we're going to give it a second to do that, and that is realistically your first and pretty much best defense, is simply having a backup available to you. However, things can go an awful lot worse than simply just needing a backup to revert to a previous save point almost. So what are our other 2 options? So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and go for schedule backups. Now, before we do that, if we just take a look up here, I can actually download this particular backup. So you can have that stored on your cloud or maybe on your desktop somewhere. So that's handy to have. And you can just restore directly from what will eventually be a big list of backups that you will have just here as you continue to create them. So you just click restore. It will take your website back to that previous restore point. Over here, we've got this kind of blue house on fire, which means the backup's available for disaster recovery, and that we are going to come to in a second. That's going to be point number 3 and is incredibly important. However, let's go back to what I was saying, the schedule backups. So let's click on schedule backups just here, and you can see I've actually already got one set. However, I'll show you how to make one now. So the question is, why are schedule backups so important? Well, it's because what we just did was manual. That means that you've gone ahead and you've decided to make a backup on that day at that time, and that's great. But the chances of you forgetting to make that backup or not making that backup regularly enough are quite high. So a schedule backup will essentially do it for you. You don't have to spend any time, you're not going to forget, and your chances of, again, falling victim to any kind of hacking or malicious code or anything like that are vastly reduced because, quite simply, you've got far more backups to go back to. So in order to get that schedule backup, we're going to go ahead and click on add new just here. And then I can create a new schedule. So a new schedule name, I'm going to call it daily. We've already got a weekly backup. So let's set this up as a daily. The backup template, I'm going to leave as default. You can create a variety of templates depending on what it is you want to back up. Default does a full site backup, which is what we're going to stick with. Scrolling down to the repeats, and we're going to go for daily, as I said. So every single day, this backup is going to run. And then for the start time, I'm going to set this for 9 a.m. because that's when I have the most traffic running through my website. And that's exactly what you need. You need traffic in order to trigger the backup to work. So set it for a time when your website is likely to have traffic. Then you can see that it's activated just here. So enable the schedule and then save. And there we have it on the schedule backups page. We now have a weekly and a daily backup. So this is going to tell you when that's going to run next, when it last ran, if it's active, and again, you have disaster recovery available right here. So now I can have a daily backup that maybe does a full site. I can have a weekly backup that maybe only backs up my media or something along those lines. And I can set this as often or as many as I want. So let's go to the disaster recovery. So let's go back up to backups just here. And you saw that little blue disaster recovery option. That is number 3. That is our third way that we are going to protect our website. And in my opinion, the absolute most important, losing my words, you have to have a disaster recovery because even with all the backups in the world, it could still go horribly wrong if you don't have this as a failsafe. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take that backup to any backup that has it available, and we're just going to click on the little burning blue house there. Here we have disaster recovery is available for this backup, so we're going to set the disaster recovery. This means that this is now set, and you get 2 options to download the launcher and copy the link. These are very important. You can do both. I'm just going to download the launcher today. So what is this, and what actually have we just done? Well, we've created a backup, the same as we have for anything else. We've taken the backup that we've made and we've created kind of a portable version of it. So this launcher that we've got that's now on my desktop that we can put on a cloud, we can have anywhere we want, is a full backup, or it's a full ability to run a backup of our website with just a couple of clicks. I'll show you exactly what it does. And if you caught that, the important thing about a disaster recovery is that it's not on your WordPress site. You don't have to be able to have access to WordPress to get into WordPress, to get into your backend, to be able to run it and operate it. So you can get completely locked out of your website. You can have no access. Everything can be gone, can be lost, can be broken, and you can still activate it, or you can still get access to it by running this particular disaster recovery backup. I will show you how it works. So here we have it. This is my disaster recovery HTML doc. So all I have to do is double click on this. This is going to launch the restore backup program, and validation, all good. Read and accept the terms and notices, which is basically that you're going to overwrite your website, and click on restore backup. Install a confirmation, yes, and okay. This is going to go ahead and extract the backup files, run the backup, and run the installer to give us our website back. It's exactly the same process as if you'd run that backup from any of the backups that you have created that are in the backup section on your WordPress backend. I think I said backups many times there, but this way you don't have to have access. So should the worst happen, you have quite literally a disaster recovery option. You can see here that that has run no problems at all. And all you have to do now is go ahead and do an admin login to delete the installer files. Does it all for you. You just have to admin login. And there you go. Once you've done that, it says your site has been restored. Everything is good as it was. And if we just go to my website, everything is as normal. Everything works as it is supposed to. And this is super important. Like, you surely have to be able to do this should the worst happen. Don't ever assume that, it won't happen to me, because that's when it will. Now, of course, that was a small snippet on how to actually back up your website and then how to restore your website from a disaster recovery backup. If you want a little bit more detail on how to restore your website from a normal backup, then you want to click on this video just here.